All right, so today we're going to look into something called BabyCatAGI.
Okay.
It's kind of like having a super powerful AI assistant right there at your fingertips. But instead of clicking buttons or using like some kind of fancy interface, you just use good old-fashioned text commands.
You're exactly right.
Yeah,
Think of it like you're having a conversation with your computer,
right.
but instead of just chatting, you're giving it instructions to carry out tasks,
Okay.
just like you would in like a terminal or a command prompt.
Oh, I love that analogy.
Yeah.
So what makes BabyCatAGI so special?
Well, it sounds like a pretty cool blend of old and new technology.
It does, yeah.
Um,
Mm.
what's fascinating here is that BabyCatAGI combines the power of large language models.
Okay.
Those super smart AI systems that can understand and generate human-like text with the versatility and control of a command line interface.
Okay, so hold on.
Yeah,
For those of us who aren't hardcore programmers, can you break down what a command line interface actually is?
absolutely.
And like why using one with an AI is so powerful?
Imagine you have like a direct line to the heart of your computer's operating system
Mm-hmm.
where you can issue commands and the computer responds instantly.
Yeah.
That's essentially what a command line interface or CLI allows you to do.
Gotcha.
And it's powerful because it gives you very precise control over what your computer does.
So instead of clicking around in a graphical user interface, you're actually typing in specific instructions.
Right.
Okay, but how does the AI come into play?
That's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
BabyCatAGI acts as like a translator between your natural language instructions and the precise commands your computer understands.
Okay.
You give it a goal and it figures out the sequence of commands needed to make it happen.
Wow, so it's like having a super efficient personal assistant
Right.
who can not only understand your instructions,
Right.
but can actually carry them out at a system level.
Precisely.
Okay.
The source material we're diving into today highlights some amazing use cases
Okay.
that really showcase the potential of BabyCatAGI. For example, imagine being able to create entire applications, like
Well,
games, just by giving feedback to the AI.
hold on. You're saying I could create a game without writing a single line of code?
Yeah.
That sounds almost too good to be true.
It might sound like science fiction, but it's actually happening right now.
Really?
The source material even provides links to examples where BabyCatAGI was used to create simple games like Reversi and Snake.
Okay, that's officially blown my mind.
Yeah.
So games are one thing,
Sure?
but what about more practical applications?
Absolutely.
Could this be used for tasks that businesses or organizations might need to do on a regular basis?
Absolutely. One of the biggest challenges for developers and IT professionals is setting up complex development environments.
Right.
Imagine being able to automate that entire process using BabyCatAGI.
Okay.
The source material highlights an example where someone used it to set up a Flutter development environment within a Linux container,
Okay.
complete with a web server accessible from outside the container.
So instead of spending hours or even days configuring everything manually, you could just give BabyCatAGI a few instructions
Right.
and let it handle all the technical details.
That's exactly the idea.
Wow.
It could be a huge time saver for businesses and organizations of all sizes,
Yeah.
freeing up valuable resources to focus on more strategic tasks.
All right. I'm starting to see the potential here.
Yeah,
It's not just about games.
right,
It's about automating any task that can be broken down into a series of commands.
right.
But I have to ask,
Yeah.
how does this all actually work under the hood?
Yeah.
What's going on
Whoop.
inside BabyCatAGI?
At its core, BabyCatAGI works in a continuous loop.
Okay.
It pulls a task from a list you've given it,
Mm-hmm.
and then it has to figure out if it's a direct command that it can execute right away, or if it's more like a plan that requires some additional thinking and planning.
It sounds like it has to make some pretty intelligent decisions.
It does.
How does it determine if a task is a command or a plan?
That's where the large language model comes in. Okay. It analyzes the task description and uses its understanding of language and context to figure out what needs to be done.
Gotcha.
If it's a command like open a file or send an email, it can execute that directly.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's a more complex goal like set up a development environment,
Right.
it needs to break that down into a series of smaller steps.
So it's like a master problem solver,
Right.
breaking down big goals into manageable chunks that it can then execute one by one.
You got it.
Okay.
And here's the really cool part.
Okay.
If a command fails, BabyCatAGI doesn't just give up.
Oh, wow.
It analyzes what went wrong,
Huh.
using the feedback from the computer,
Okay.
and tries to come up with a new plan to achieve the goal.
Wow.
It's incredibly adaptable and persistent.
It's like it's learning and improving with each attempt, almost like a human would.
It really is amazing.
This feedback loop you mentioned,
Yes.
is that where the AGI part of the name comes in?
That's a great question.
Is this a step towards artificial general intelligence?
While BabyCatAGI is definitely a sophisticated system, it's important to remember that it's still operating within a very specific domain,
Okay,
the command line.
gotcha.
It's not capable of general reasoning or learning in the same way that humans can.
So it's more like a specialized form of intelligence that's incredibly good at what it does,
Right.
but it's not quite ready to take over the world.
Exactly. But even within that specific domain, the possibilities are incredibly exciting.
Yeah.
And what makes it even more powerful is the fact that you, the user, can provide feedback to guide the AI even further.
So it's not just about giving commands.
Right.
It's about having a conversation with the AI,
Mm-hmm.
working together to solve problems and achieve goals.
You nailed it.
Wow.
It's like having a partner in problem solving.
Yeah.
Someone who can not only execute your instructions, but also learn from your feedback and adapt to new situations.
This is absolutely fascinating. We've covered what BabyCatAGI is, how it works, and some of the amazing things it can do. But I'm sure our listeners are wondering,
Yeah.
is this something they could actually use themselves? Is it easy to set up?
That's a great question. And we'll dive into the practicalities of using BabyCatAGI right after. We'll get to that in just a minute.
Okay, sounds good.
So setting up BabyCatAGI is surprisingly straightforward, especially if you're already familiar with using the command line.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Mm.
But not everyone is a command line guru.
Right.
What if you're someone who's more comfortable with graphical interfaces?
Sure.
Is BabyCatAGI still accessible?
It definitely requires some comfort with typing commands.
Right.
But the setup process itself is well documented.
Okay.
You basically clone the repository from GitHub,
Okay.
set up your API keys for either Anthropic or OpenAI.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the companies that are providing the large language model brains behind the operation.
Right.
And optionally set a specific objective if you have one in mind.
So even if you're not a programmer, if you're willing to roll up your sleeves and follow some instructions, you can get BabyCatAGI up and running.
That's right.
Okay.
And the creator of BabyCatAGI actually recommends using Docker as the environment for running it.
Docker.
Yeah.
Can you explain what that is for those who might not be familiar with it?
Sure.
It sounds a bit technical.
Think of Docker as like a way to create a self-contained little world for your software to run in, like
Okay.
a virtual computer within your computer.
Okay.
It ensures that BabyCatAGI has all the necessary components and dependencies it needs to function correctly,
Gotcha.
regardless of your underlying operating system.
So it's like creating a perfectly tailored environment for BabyCatAGI to thrive in.
Exactly.
That makes sense. But you mentioned API keys earlier,
Yeah,
and those usually come with costs.
right.
Is there a cost associated with using BabyCatAGI?
That's an important point to consider.
Yeah.
Using the APIs from Anthropic or OpenAI does incur a cost,
Oh.
and it can vary depending on how much you use the system. So it's definitely something to factor in when deciding if BabyCatAGI is right for you.
Cost is always a factor,
It is.
especially for businesses or organizations.
Right.
But let's shift gears a bit and talk about some of the cool commands and features that BabyCatAGI offers.
Okay, sure.
The source material mentioned a command called .clean.esh. What does that do?
That's a handy command that essentially lets you wipe the slate clean and start from scratch.
Okay.
Sometimes, especially when you're experimenting or things get a bit messy,
Mm-hmm.
it's helpful to just reset everything and start fresh.
I can see how that would be useful.
Yeah.
Especially if BabyCatAGI gets stuck or goes down a rabbit hole that you didn't intend.
Right.
It's like hitting the reset button.
Exactly.
What about backups?
Uh-huh.
Does BabyCatAGI have a way to save your progress?
It does.
Okay.
There's a command called backupworkspace.esh
Okay.
that creates a backup of the workspace folder, which contains all the files and data generated by the AI.
So if something goes wrong, or you want to revert to a previous state,
Right.
you can just restore from a backup.
You got it.
That's great for peace of mind.
It is.
But it's important to note, as the source material emphasizes,
Yeah.
that this only backs up the workspace, not the entire environment.
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
It's a good reminder that even though we're talking about automation and AI, it's still important to be mindful of data management and ensure that you're backing up everything you need.
Makes sense. And what about starting completely fresh?
Yeah.
like wiping out all of BabyCatAGI's previous knowledge and experience.
Sure.
Is there a command for that?
There is.
Okay, what is it?
It's called .newstore.esh,
Okay.
and it essentially creates a brand new set of BabyCatAGI data,
Okay.
effectively giving the AI a clean slate.
I could see how that would be useful in certain situations.
Yeah?
Like if you want to train the AI on a completely new task or domain without any influence from its previous experience.
Right.
It's like giving it a fresh perspective.
Exactly.
And all of these features highlight a key aspect of BabyCatAGI.
Mm,
It's designed for flexibility and user control.
that's right.
You're not just giving the AI a command and hoping for the best.
All right.
You have tools to manage its behavior, guide its learning, and ensure that it aligns with your specific needs.
Exactly.
It sounds like a really powerful tool, but also one that requires a bit of responsibility and understanding to use effectively.
It does.
It's not just about giving commands.
Right.
It's about understanding how the system works and making informed decisions about how to use it.
You hit the nail on the head.
Okay.
And it's exciting to see that the creator of BabyCatAGI is actively encouraging contributions from the community.
Oh, wow.
This open source approach suggests a strong desire to evolve the project,
Right.
explore new possibilities, and ultimately make it even more useful and accessible.
That's awesome. So this isn't just a closed-off project.
No, it's not.
It's a living, breathing ecosystem that's constantly being improved and expanded upon. Right. Now, this might be getting a bit ahead of ourselves,
Sure.
but I can't help but wonder, what could this technology lead to in the future? Is this a glimpse of how we'll be interacting with computers in the years to come?
That's a fascinating question, and we'll touch on that in a minute.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So before we got sidetracked, we were starting to get into some pretty thought-provoking territory.
Oh, we were.
The future of BabyCatAGI and what it might mean for how we interact with technology.
It's definitely a space ripe for speculation.
It is, yeah.
On one hand, we have this powerful tool that can automate complex tasks and potentially revolutionize how we work.
You know, it's interesting because the source material mentions something that really stuck with me.
Oh, yeah.
The creator actually said, "I am looking forward to learning a lot from you all."
That really speaks to the collaborative spirit behind the project. It's like an open invitation to tinker, explore, and discover new and innovative ways to use BabyCatAGI. And with it being open source, anyone can contribute their ideas and improvements.
Absolutely. It's like a collective brainstorming session where everyone brings their unique skills and experiences to the table
Right.
to push the boundaries of what's possible.
Yeah.
But let's zoom out a bit.
Okay.
What are some of the bigger picture implications here?
One of the most intriguing aspects is the potential for democratizing technology. Imagine a world where anyone, regardless of their technical expertise, could create their own applications or automate complex tasks simply by interacting with an AI assistant through text commands.
It's like empowering people to become creators, not just consumers of technology.
Right.
But with that power comes responsibility.
Of course.
There must be some potential downsides or risks to consider as well.
You're absolutely right. Security is a major concern.
Okay.
When you're giving an AI system the ability to execute commands on your computer, you need to be extremely careful about ensuring that it doesn't do anything malicious or unintended.
It's like giving someone the keys to your house. You need to trust them implicitly and have safeguards in place to prevent any misuse.
Exactly.
What about things like bias?
Yeah.
Could BabyCatAGI potentially inherit or amplify existing biases in the data it's trained on?
That's another crucial consideration. It's essential to ensure that the training data used for these AI systems is diverse and representative, and that the algorithms themselves are designed to mitigate bias as much as possible.
So while the potential is enormous, we need to approach this technology with a healthy dose of caution and critical thinking.
We do.
It's not a magic bullet. It's a tool that needs to be used responsibly and ethically.
Exactly. And that brings us to another important point. Transparency.
Okay.
We need to be able to understand how these AI systems are making decisions and what steps they're taking to achieve their goals, especially when things go wrong.
Transparency is crucial for building trust and accountability.
It is.
If an AI agent makes a mistake or causes a problem, we need to be able to trace back its actions and figure out what went wrong so we can learn from it and prevent it from happening again.
It's like having a clear audit trail for the AI's actions,
Right.
allowing us to understand its decision-making process and identify any potential areas for improvement. But let's not get lost in the weeds.
Right.
We've talked about the potential benefits and risks,
Mm.
but what about the more practical aspects of using BabyCatAGI?
One thing that struck me
Mhm.
is how it could potentially integrate with all sorts of existing tools and scripts.
Right.
It's not just a standalone system.
It's not.
It has the potential to become a central hub for automating all kinds of tasks
Yeah.
using the power of the entire command line universe.
You're spot on. It's like having a constantly evolving toolbox
Yeah.
that's always getting more powerful and versatile thanks to the contributions of a global community of developers.
And as those tools and integrations become more sophisticated, the possibilities for what you can achieve with BabyCatAGI will only continue to expand.
That's true.
But beyond the practical applications, there's also something fundamentally intriguing about the idea of interacting with our computers through a conversational command line.
It's like going back to the roots of computing, but with a modern twist.
It is, yeah.
We're not just typing in cryptic commands anymore. We're having a dialogue with our machines, guiding them to solve problems and accomplish tasks in a more intuitive and natural way.
And as those conversations become more sophisticated and nuanced, who knows what kind of new insights and discoveries we might unlock.
Exactly.
It's like we're entering a new era of human-computer interaction where the lines between giving instructions and having a conversation are starting to blur.
It's an exciting prospect, but it also reminds us that the future of AI is not something that will be decided for us.
Right.
It's something that we will create together through our collective actions and decisions.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into BabyCatAGI, let's carry with us a sense of both wonder and responsibility. Let's embrace the incredible potential of this technology while also being mindful of the ethical considerations and the need to use it wisely for the benefit of all.
Well said. The future is full of possibilities, and BabyCatAGI is just one example of the amazing things that are happening at the intersection of AI and human ingenuity.
It really is.
It's a journey we're all on together, and it's up to us to shape it in a way that benefits humanity as a whole.